Welcome to the Gig Boss Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Meckler. Today we've got Aaron Washington on the show. Aaron is the brains behind the Black Trumpeter YouTube channel, which has nearly 50,000 subscribers and provides educational videos for trumpeters. His Patreon and website offers PDF downloads, exclusive educational videos, and live video sessions. Also a freelancer on the Chicago scene, he is the quintessential modern musician, carving out a living as a freelancer while building an online business. I'm excited to talk to him about it. Please welcome to the podcast, Aaron Washington.
Wow, nice. Great to be here. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah, man. Yeah, thanks for being here. So, you focus a lot on education in your videos. Is there a teacher that you when you were coming up as a student that really influenced you, that made you kind of want to chase this path?
Oh man, I have a few teachers, and the one teacher that actually is two. So when I was in high school, about senior year, I actually didn't know what I wanted to go into. I didn't know what I wanted to major in going into college. So my band director at the time, she was new. She was like the first. She was her first year there. Her name was Sarah Whitlock, and so I had like a blow off class, and she was like, "Hey, why don't you be like a teacher assistant for me for the freshman band?" I was like, "Yeah, cool. That's no problem. Yeah, that'll sound great. I'm not doing anything in the other class anyway." So, as I was being her TA, I was, teaching. I was even getting up on the podium and doing some of the rehearsal. Yeah. And she was like, "Hey, you're pretty dope at teaching." She didn't say that, but she was like, "Hey, you're pretty good."
Yeah.
I was like, "Oh, thank you." And she was like, "You should probably look into music education at Illinois State University," because that's where she went.
Yeah.
I was like, "Okay, yeah, cool. I'll look into that," because I hadn't really thought about anything after high school. So,
yeah.
But her and my private teacher, my trumpet teacher, Larry Bowen, he always drilled in me every single lesson. "Bruh, you need to get," and he actually said this. He was like, "Bruh, you need to get your education, get your music ed degree, start teaching. Don't go into performance." And because he did the same thing. He was like, "Well, if you're trying to get stable and all that stuff, you need to get your paper. You need to get your degree."
Yeah.
And so every Saturday, every week, that's what he was saying. And so I was like, okay, well, I guess that's what I'll do then.
Yeah. So you decided to go to school. You got a music ed degree?
Yeah. So I got my music ed degree, Illinois State University. And, before that, you do your student teaching.
Yeah.
And I figured out that I didn't want to be a band director during that time. After all that time, I was like, yeah, this is not for me. Wow. Not for me. But it kind of all goes back to, I was reading this book called The Psychology of Money. And in this book, he talks about how, as just human beings, we just have a poor sense of, forecast, how we want to see our lives, or what it's going to be like once we arrive at that certain moment or that certain career.
Yeah.
Or that certain relationship. And things change. You're not the same person you were when you were 18 and then 24, 22, or whenever you graduate. You're not going to be the same person from now till 10 years from now. So it's hard to project what you want and if that's going to be the right thing for you.
Right. And so being a band director, not the right thing for you, which is understandable. Like I've seen that scene. That's such a tough road. It doesn't pay great, right? And
right.
Like B, like there's in a lot of situations, there's not a lot of support from administrators. So you're also getting your program cut. You're getting, if you had 3 band directors, now you have 2, now you have 2.5 or 1.5. There's so many stories of that happening. I was just out in Farmington, Minnesota. I was doing a guest artist gig, and they just had a position cut, and they have this great program where their enrollment is not going down, but the administrators are still cutting it. So I can understand that reaction to being a band director. But obviously you've taken what you learned, right? And now you've created a thing around teaching that's more in your way and in your style. So like, how did you get started with the Black Trumpeter YouTube channel? Look, when did that start? And I guess we know the motivation behind it, but
yeah, so it started, well, when I first created the channel, it was more so like I'm going to post like performances of me playing and the usual things that musicians do with YouTube channels.
Yep.
And but after I had decided I didn't want to be a band director, now was like, okay, what do I want to do? I want to be a musician. I want to be an artist. That was my journey. So even before I graduated, I started, getting my website together. I didn't know anything about putting together a website, so I built the website myself.
Yep.
My wife, she takes photography. So she took some pictures so I can put it on my website.
Nice.
All that type stuff. And that summer, I was like, okay, I know a little bit about how kind of, social media works a little bit. And okay, I just need to make videos and have people see it. And so that was the focus. But I was like, okay, well, I don't really have any gigs. So I don't really have anything lined up. And so I didn't really know how to start or where to start with that. But I was like, I do know how to teach.
Yeah.
I do know like really how to package information and make it so simple that anybody can follow and they get what they need and they come out of it learning something new, being something, knowing something new, and being someone better than they were 2 minutes, 4 minutes before.
Yeah.
So the premise of the channel was, after I figured like, I can't really post any performances because I don't have any gigs yet. But what I can do is get some private students. And so that was my goal, was to get private students from the YouTube channel. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, man. So was there a video early on that like caught fire and you thought like, oh, I could do this? Like for me anyway, on my channels, like I had a beginner trumpet video that ended up all of a sudden one day it was like, whoa, this has 70,000 views. And then I was like, whoa, this has 150,000 views. And it was nothing that I did, except create the content and kind of leave it there. Did you have an experience like that where you thought maybe I could actually do this? Because you have a whole bunch of videos that are in that range in terms of views now. And it seems like a lot of your videos are focused. I mean, you have a wide range of stuff, but a lot of your videos are focused on early trumpet, beginning trumpet, right? This is like how to play the note E. I mean, all the way down to the very, very basics. And like you said, you've got this great way of packaging information, which I think is completely evident on your channel, and I'm sure is a big reason for the success. But was there a video that took off early on that made you think, okay, yeah, let's go?
Yeah, it was the first one, unfortunately.
Wow. Because then everything else was like, oh no.
Everything, it was. I'm not to say that it had like it was 100,000 views. It was like, man, it got 10,000 views.
Yeah.
I was like, that's insane. Like I can't even fit 10,000 people in my apartment.
Right.
So
what year is that?
That was my first video, September 2016.
Okay. Yeah. So it's been around a little while. YouTube's been around a little while.
Yeah, it's been around. And, I cringe every time someone comments on that video because that was my first one. And it was just like it wasn't like, that's not me. Like,
right.
My personality, my camera presence, like that was completely not me. I was trying to be the YouTuber that I saw that I saw on YouTube. Like when you're a YouTuber, you're, hey, how you doing? Hey, welcome to my channel. Hey, what's up? Extra, like really, really energetic.
Yep.
And I was like, that's not me. And so it's just
Sure.
like, so after a while, a long while, even now, I'm getting more into who I am, like one-on-one, but plus like maybe 20%, because the camera takes away a lot of that energy.
Yep.
So you might feel like you're being energetic, but when you look back, it's like, no, you still look boring as hell. So or you sound boring. So
Sure.
So it's just about just tweaking it with
Right.
every video.
Right. And you even, every single video, you've got a thumbnail that has something that like is visually stimulating. Even on, like, I was going through your channel and looking at, like, you do live sessions where you do like Q&As or whatever, where you're answering questions from subscribers. Yeah. Even on those videos, you've got an image, like a still image, maybe that talks about some of the things that you are going to talk about in the video, or that you end up talking about in the video. How important is it for people that want to create regular content on YouTube and build subscribers to have some kind of like catchy visual image on the front of each video?
Sheesh, that's everything.
Yeah.
That's your billboard. Like the thumbnail, and even I need to get better at that for sure. The thumbnail is the thing that the first thing they see before they click the video.
Right.
So if that thing doesn't catch their eye, it doesn't tell them what the video is about, how it's going to help them or entertain them or excite them or intrigue them, they're not going to click on it. And so, yeah, video editing is important, but the thumbnail is more important. That's your hook on YouTube. Whereas other platforms, your hook is the video itself. What you say, that's the first thing they see. They don't see a thumbnail. And that's kind of what makes YouTube hard, is that you're competing with a lot of noise. You're competing with a lot of people who really have their thumbnail game on lock.
Yeah.
So,
and it's one, I mean, YouTube is one of the platforms that it's got the most like noise, but also the most people that are looking at the noise, right? So it's like, it's by far the biggest in terms of the audience, to be able to build an audience. One of the things I've noticed, like building my channel recently, is like it's been easier. It was not easy to get to where I am, I guess, but it was easier, it seems, to build an audience there than it was even on like Instagram, which I was regularly building on, and certainly easier than on Spotify. I don't know if it's the visual element or what, but like what I read was YouTube has such bigger numbers in terms of the people watching, that you're able to catch a lot more people in the videos.
Yeah, as far as I would say on YouTube, it's the followers that you get there. They're loyal followers. Like they're more loyal than any other platform, because people go to YouTube for a reason.
Right.
A specific reason. You go like, oh, how do I fix my toilet? Like you look it up on YouTube. Like,
yep.
So if you have that answer, they're going to be very loyal to you, especially if you do it on a consistent basis. However, though, even though YouTube is big, TikTok is getting bigger. Yeah. TikTok totally. Is even like the monthly viewership and visits has surpassed Google. Wow. Unreal, and that's man. Crazy. And so everybody is trying to be the TikTok.
Yeah. Are you trying to build there now too then? Is that something you're like putting an effort into?
Yeah. And I'm doing that. I did TikTok only as an experiment. I didn't even have my account as the Black Trumpeter. I had it as something different because I just wanted to see what it was about. Yeah. And so that's when I created the username Clarion Cast. And I was like, okay, I don't know what this TikTok is about, so I'm just gonna see what happens and just experiment. I didn't And when I tell you, like, TikTok is crazy as far as how quickly you can go viral, how quickly you can build your following.
Yep.
The first video, went stupid viral, and it was just me I did the first video, and it was just me transcribing a meme song.
Yeah.
And I was writing down the notes of it. And in that thing, I looked up like an hour later, it had 1 million. I'm like,
yeah, that's unreal.
what?
I'm looking at your page right now. It's like you got 8.5 million, 2.7 million, the tons that are in the hundreds of thousands, 1.1 million. And you've got, it's like here you've got 338,000 followers on TikTok. Are you able to drive, like, are you able to monetize this in any way? Are you able to drive traffic to your YouTube channel, which you monetize? Like, is there any kind of financial benefit from all of this action so far?
Yeah, so I did get a sponsorship and through that channel, through that thing. And so someone had reached out to me saying that they needed a trumpet player to be in this to help promote Soul, the movie Soul.
Oh,
for
awesome.
Pixar.
Yeah.
And so it was, and the person who had represented Disney or Pixar, she was like, "Oh, do you know anybody that does this? Does trumpet? Or does trombone? Does all the rest of the instruments?" And so at the time, it was like not really that many musicians on TikTok, and so
wow.
And I was like, I don't know. I just found somebody, and I gave them a few names, and they had already found some people, but that was only like a 30-second video. And what that video produced me more money I would make than maybe 4 months of AdSense revenue from my YouTube channel.
Wow.
So that one 30-second video paid me so, I was like, people need to be on this platform. Like,
right.
It's new. You can gain a lot of visibility, like, organically, and that's really hard to do on all the other platforms.
Yeah, totally.
And it's not hard. It's not really difficult to create on there. You can do a little dance or do you mouth a skit that someone else recorded. You didn't even do it.
Right.
Like, you can piggyback off of somebody else's work and get the same type of visibility, if not more. And so I was like, yeah, I really need to figure out, okay, what is this TikTok thing? And so right now I'm studying just more of how can I produce the best short form content, because right now short form content is king.
Yep.
Like all the platforms are trying to do reels, trying to do shorts, trying to do that thing less than 60 seconds. And I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I can make my short form content engaging. Like what I said before, like the hook.
Yep.
Like on TikTok, there are no thumbnails unless you actually click on somebody's profile. Mm-hmm. But how the feed is done is like, it's so, you don't have to choose. Like for Instagram or for YouTube, you actually have to choose the video that you want to watch. What makes TikTok so cool is like you can just go on your phone and watch a video, and there's no choice. You don't have to physically, okay, I want to watch this video. TikTok automatically just gives you the content.
Right.
And you can stay on that platform for hours and not really realizing it.
Which is why I would assume just the way that it's used is why people that don't have anybody following them yet on TikTok can still get 400 or 500 views on their first video, or in your case, 1 million views on your first video. It's like that's why that's possible. I would think, right?
Yeah.
It's like you got tons of people and so they need content to throw in front of those people.
Exactly.
That's interesting. Like I had I mean, very much not a similar experience, but a similar experience in terms of like, I'd be posting videos on Instagram and would get like 100 views. And these are like videos that I spent a bunch of time like working on. And I was like, man, what's going on? And then I'd post something on TikTok and I had 0 followers and I'd get 500 views. And I was like, this is interesting. Like,
right.
why am I getting more views at a place where nobody follows me? I got thousands of people following me on Instagram and nobody's seeing my content. And it's like they're more focused on their monetization method is to charge you to get your content in front of people's eyes, right, on Instagram and Facebook. It's like that's their model, and they're not going to show your content to somebody unless you put money behind it. But on TikTok, it's like that's not how it works. And it's so fascinating to hear about you getting that gig promoting Soul, because I've been wondering, like, how do TikTok artists? I know that like people that do music, if they blow up on TikTok, record labels will reach out. So people have gotten record label deal offers through TikTok, and that kind of stuff. But I always wonder, like, how does somebody like you get paid for that content? It's like, that seems like a problem of today. It's like, obviously you got a big opportunity through it. But that seems like a problem. It's like this platform exists for me to create content. I'm creating all this content, creating all these eyeballs, getting all this interaction, right? I'm keeping people on the site myself, but I'm not actually reaping the financial rewards of it.
Right.
It seems like that's like a problem that needs to be solved, I think, in like the internet world.
Oh, for sure. They're definitely working on, like the creator fund. Like, the creator fund is kind of like, not as big as YouTube. Obviously, you get like 4 cents or whatever per view, which is nothing compared to YouTube. People making full-time living. I'm not making a full-time living off YouTube, but people are, and they have their version of it, but it's just not as potent, not as good as YouTube. And so I would say, like, probably the best bet is to either get brand deals, or sell your own stuff, sell your own services and products, and try to funnel people through that.
Do you find that people are finding your PDFs on your website and stuff like that through your content?
They're usually finding me and trying to get lessons from me, which is crazy because even an older audience. I had a student tell me one day how she found me, and I assumed she found me through Instagram because that's how she communicated to me or DM'd me. That's where I first heard of her, but it wasn't until maybe I've been giving lessons to her since August. Yeah. It wasn't until like last month she was like, "Oh yeah, I found you through TikTok." I'm like, what? Yeah.
Okay.
Like that wasn't like for that channel. That wasn't really the goal. And through this entire time, my main funnel was YouTube. How I was getting all my students, and how I'm still getting all my students, is just through YouTube.
Yep.
And to hear that she came from TikTok, I was like, okay. And she's not 12. She's not a kid. She was grown. So I was like, okay, well, again, I need to focus more or spend a little bit more time on TikTok since there's adults on there.
Yeah. It's not always the stereotypical what you think of as people using TikTok.
Right.
Yeah, totally. So how do you, like, I had a question written down about this, like, it seems like you have so many avenues on, let's see, I should probably read this because I wrote it all down. You update all these different categories. So at least looking at your YouTube channel, you do live sessions, you coach, I just watched a video of you like coaching people through a warm-up session in the morning. You have traditional long-form videos, you do like daily reels, you regular sessions doing live responses to subscriber questions, a series of videos learning each note, each scale, all these different things that are packaged in this really smart way. So A, like, how do you organize all of this? And B, do you have some kind of like regular posting schedule that you really regimented? And it seems like you'd have to be to be so prolific the way you are.
I'm still working on it. I'm consistently inconsistent with my with my posting schedule, and only because it's like when I first started, I was just trying to get stuff out, and just it didn't matter what time or when, or I just was pumping content out so I could, help people as much as I could. And but once I started getting traction and getting more followers and things like that, they're asking more of me. I'm like, it started being overwhelming. And so I was like, okay, because every video I was starting from scratch. So if I had to start over, I think what I would do is try one type of video or one type of content and try to create it multiple times and document the system of how to create that. Yeah. And the reason why I have more so like the scale tutorial like playlist, because I know that system. I was able to just recreate it over and over and over because I knew how to create that video. Right. But
and then time people they sort of expect to see that. Right. That's a routine for people watching as well, which is helpful, right?
Right. Yeah, that's helpful, but it got boring for me to create.
Yeah.
It got so, like, as a creator, I didn't want to have to create the same type of video over and over. This is how you play this note, that scale, that scale. So all this time I've been like, okay, how can I balance something that I enjoy creating versus what my audience wants to create? And I've been trying to balance that for the longest. So just to kind of answer your questions, like, I don't really have a system right now. Like, my system is trying to figure out my system as far as like what people actually like and how can I create that more often. And during the 6 years of doing this, I've been just really experimenting like this entire time with different types of content. That's why you see so much, is because I'm trying to like, okay, let me try live streams. Never did that before. Let me try not only live streams, but let me try doing a call-in show. Let me try, okay, let's do a warm-up show. Let's do analysis, music theory analysis, trying to get my, Adam Neely on,
Yep.
So I'm trying so many different things because I'm just trying to figure out what is my jam, what do people like, and how can I consistently put that out?
Right.
So
you're trying to find the intersection of what people need and what you want to do.
Right.
That's such a tough thing. I've felt that same way myself. Is like, how do I find? It's like when you're an artist or a musician in general. It's like you've got a certain thing in your head. At least for somebody like for me, like, I release a whole bunch of music, and like, I've got a certain thing in my head that I'd like to create, but I'd also like people to hear it. So like, where's the marriage between like, what do people want to hear and what do I want to make, and how do I find that crossover? I mean, I think that's a really fascinating puzzle, and it's still something that it's like we're all working on that in some way, shape, or form. You mentioned that that you don't make your full time income from YouTube. Do you mind talking a bit about your income pie and like percentages or something? Like, you teach private lessons that you get from YouTube. Like, what's your percentage of your income pie from YouTube versus from maybe deals you get through your page on TikTok versus private lessons versus gigs in town?
Yeah, so most of my income right now comes from private lessons and teaching. And so I've built that funnel pretty well. And so most of that is private lessons. Then after that will be, freelancing, doing weddings and gigs and things like that. But COVID hit and all that stuff. So I had to really go in on teaching. And so I didn't mind that. I love teaching. That I could do that all day without being paid. So sponsorships and things like that's like 0.5%, like not really coming in all that much.
Yeah.
And this year I wanted to kind of focus on that a little bit more with the TikTok channel and see how that system works, because I know it's possible. It's just like possible meaning like it can be more consistent. But just trying to figure that way out. But yeah, that's, I would say most of then AdSense. So it'll be teaching, gigs, AdSense pays a couple bills, and yeah, here and there little sponsorships, but that comes like it doesn't come often.
Right.
So
how did you get? You mentioned that like you didn't have any gigs when you were first starting out, which is common. It's like everybody who graduates from college in music. It's like you get somewhere and you go, okay, how do I start getting called for gigs? So like, how did you get connected in the scene? How did you start playing? Because obviously you're gigging now.
Yeah, so it all started with my private teacher, who isn't with us now, rest in peace, Larry Bowen. And man, like the entire time I was in school, I was like, I just want to be in Chicago and play my horn. That's all I want to do. Because every time I come back home from break, he's like, okay, like, when are you done, bro? Like, you out of school yet? Like, I got some gigs for you. Nice. I was like, no, I still got this time and this time. And during college, I was kind of dragging my feet, and it took me 6 years to get out of a 5-year degree. So I was just like anxious to like, man, I'm so ready to get out of school. And so once I graduated, I was getting my social media stuff together, and my teacher had called me. This was like around maybe September of 2016. So right around I had posted my first video, and he was like, yeah, I need a trumpet player. We're gonna play this Earth, Wind and Fire gig with I guess with the folks that were still in the group Earth, Wind and Fire. So that was my first gig out of college.
That's awesome.
And it was me playing with him, and a lot of professional musicians, like older, more veteran musicians in that band. And so that's how I was able to get a lot of my gigs now. Is like, okay, I played in that band, and I get a call from one person that was in that band. He was like, oh yeah, like you down for that? And so that's how we really got started, was just that one opportunity after college, which I'm so grateful for, because without that, I wouldn't have the gigs or have the connections or the relationships that I do today.
Yeah, that seems like a wild opportunity right away to jump in and play with some heavy cats. And
luckily I was prepared. I was ready, because I didn't go to school for performance, but I had always, been keeping up with my trumpet playing, because usually, most music education majors have this notion like, oh, I don't need to practice my instrument, I'm going to be a teacher. And
right.
It's like, that makes no sense.
Yeah.
You need to be able to be the model for your students. You need to be able to play a piano above the staff. If that's what you're teaching, you can't just go on YouTube and find somebody else doing it. You gotta, that's going to take up time in your classroom. You don't have the time to do that. So you need to pop out your horn and play it. That's what all my teachers did.
Yep.
And so that's where I got that from. It's just like, if I want to teach, I need to teach from example. I can't teach from my own example, not from somebody else's example.
Right.
So that's what keeps me playing.
Totally. I found that I'm a much better teacher when I'm, the pandemic was really, really open, really shined a light on this for me. I had started running the jazz program at Michigan Technological University the fall before the pandemic hit, and it was my first full-time job. Before that, I was just a full-time trumpet player, and I taught adjunct at a few different places. But teaching so much and not playing when everything shut down, it was like I was like, who am I? I'm like, why am I here? I'm not supposed to be doing this. Is not what I'm supposed to be doing. I'm supposed to be making music. And as things started to open up again, it's like I'm a better teacher. I'm a better person. I'm more fun to be around when I'm able to play music professionally. It's like I do better in the classroom with my students and I think they see that and they feel that energy of me. Like I just came off a weekend of shows and now it's Monday and I'm in front of my students. It's like they can feel that energy of he was just out doing it. And my students aren't even music majors. My students are all engineers. They're going to be engineering majors. We do have some audio production and sound design majors here, but for the most part, my students are engineers. So I'm working with students that are maybe going to be semi-pro, maybe will play professionally a little bit. They're all able to do that. So I'm not even working, it's like, but I still think they feed off of that energy and they go, all right, Meckler's ready to go. He had a weekend of gigs and now he feels better in his head so he can teach better.
Yeah. So yeah, definitely. Like the students know when you're in it and when you're not. And, as far as like the energy goes, and when you're excited, like they're excited, and that's what I love about teaching. And as I'm talking, that Earth, Wind, and Fire, it was actually Temptations.
Oh, it was Temptations. Okay.
Temptations, not Earth, Wind, and Fire. I misspoke. It was Temptations.
I've done that gig. I did that gig in Minneapolis. You done that gig? Were the Four Tops with them too? Was it Temptations and Four Tops?
No, it was actually just them. It was just them. Yeah.
Yeah. Because they'll grab horn sections in whatever city they're in,
right?
Which is awesome. And so I got to do that gig in Minneapolis, which is great, man. And it was Larry Braggs. Larry Braggs was the lead. He was the David Ruffin at that time.
Yeah.
He just moved over from Tower Power. He had been with Tower Power for a decade or something, and came over to play to sing the lead parts. Man, that was a thrill. I grew like. Temptations were like my number one in high school, man.
Yeah.
Like I was just talking about this with somebody. I was on a gig. Yeah, like I grew up watching that. You remember that made-for-TV movie, the Temptations movie? That man, it was like in the '90s. It was the late '90s.
Yeah.
I had it on VHS, and I was like every night in my room, man. I was obsessed with the Temptations. My dad. Like, I grew up listening to a lot of Motown music, doo-wop and stuff like that. My dad was really into that style. So, like, early Temptation stuff, especially was what my dad loved. But then I really kind of fell in love with the story and with David Ruffin and with Eddie Kendricks and, like, all the various different vibes that ended up coming out of the Temptations. Man, what a thrill to be able to play that gig with some, I think there was like one or two original cats in the band still, but man, yeah, that's such a fun, fun
so
first foray. Yeah.
So it's great. It was awesome.
Yeah.
So even as I'm talking, it's just like it sounds. What I'm saying is like it sounds like I don't know what I'm trying to say. It just sounds like. Man, you got that started happening, you did this and that started happening. But like all of this came out of just like studying the craft, like studying the platform.
Yep.
And then also luck too. And that's not to demean anything. Luck is definitely a factor in all success. Mm-hmm. So there's luck in there, but there's also just like me studying the craft is just like, okay, how does YouTube work? Yep. How does TikTok work? How does Instagram work? Okay, how do I make a good video? How do I make a good thumbnail? Things like that. So
right. Well, I was going to ask actually earlier, like, how do you make your thumbnails? What program do you use?
I use Canva. It's free.
Canva. Okay.
Yeah, everything that I've used thus far, up until this year, has been free. My phone, I record my video.
Yep.
I use GarageBand to record. My audio, in 2016, there was the website Fiverr had just kind of released, and so nobody was using it. So I was doing some like freelance recording trumpet for folks and just like recording for their projects. This was way before COVID.
Yeah, and that's so commonplace now, but yeah. It's like.
So with all that, I was able to save a little money and get a microphone, and then that's how I was able to get really clear audio for my trumpet, and that was pretty much the biggest expense or the biggest investment starting out. But everything up till now is like, it's just been free stuff, editing my videos, my thumbnails, and yeah.
But time is money, right? And it's definitely been a boatload of time, I'm sure.
For sure. There's definitely a learning curve. A learning curve with just learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
And but these are skills that, no one can take away from you. For me, I think from here on out, like, every musician should know how to create content and know, like, how to get an audience through their content. Yep. Like, not just being able to sing or play, but through social media, you're able to, like, pretty much change your life if you just put out the right content for the right people.
Right.
So yeah, I wanted to learn all this stuff so I could teach, because at heart I'm a teacher. Like, there's no way around it. So I always just wanted to teach people the things that I know, is because, that's how we can start making more of a living with using our gifts, using our art. So
yeah, absolutely. I've got a couple things, couple places we could go here, but
sure.
You've got you spend a lot of time building this stuff up on the internet. You're a family man as well. How do you balance family and all the hours that go into content creation?
Oh, I edit during naps.
There you go.
I plan, or I research. As I'm always on my phone. My phone is, I use it. So this is the thing. When it comes to being like a creator, what I had to realize is that early on is I had to change my perspective of not consuming content for recreation, but consuming it for research. And that's important, is because I'm not watching it to relax. I'm watching it to learn. How are they doing this? And why are they doing this? And like, studying, just like anything else, we transcribe musicians, like, okay, how do they play this? And you gain all these influences, and you put it in your content, or you put it into your playing. But I use every moment I can to just research or plan or just brainstorm different ideas. At night, I edit, or I put things together. So that's how I do it. It took a long time to get to this point, because my daughter is 2 now. So
yep.
Well, I'm holding on to that one nap. It used to be 3. It used to be 3.
Yeah, that nap's going away pretty soon here. That's Hobbs was done. So our smallest was done at, I think, 2.5. He was like, "I'm done with naps, guys. Sorry." And we were like, "No." So that was it.
So that's how I do it now. And even now today, my wife is a pediatrician, so she every Monday she's off of work, and so she takes care of Ari, and then I go ham at anything. That's either my trumpet playing, I practice, I get my content together.
Yeah.
Or I'm teaching privately. I get as many teaching opportunities I can through there.
Yeah.
So because we couldn't rely on daycare at all, during this COVID thing, this pandemic. And so I decided, I was like, okay, I'm just gonna stay home, watch Ari, and we're gonna make it work. 'Cause this is crazy.
Yeah, so many parents were going through that same thing. Hobbs was a little bit older than yours, so he wasn't. It seems like you were born right before the pandemic started or something, or during. Like, Hobbs was born. He was maybe a year when we went in, or a year and a half or 2 when we went into the pandemic, and so he had a little bit of an inkling of what life was like before the pandemic, but he was so young. It's like he doesn't really remember. And that was a challenge. I mean, that was a challenge for so many parents trying to do daycare at home while also working their jobs from their computers.
It was rough.
Yeah, that's very rough.
Still is.
You know, we talk a lot about representation in education, and a lot of schools, you know, there are a lot of music programs where you've got maybe 30-40% of the school are students of color, and maybe 2% of the band program are students of color, right?
Right.
I had a student, a trumpeter, a young black student, who told me he was studying with me in college, and he told me, I've never taken trumpet lessons from somebody that looks like me. And that was something that really hit me. Was like, yeah, wow, that's like I could see how that's a problem, you know, where you can't see yourself in the thing. Do you see what you're doing as like also reaching a community of people that are not getting reached in the trumpet world? Like, do you see yourself making an impact in that scene as well?
Oh, for sure. And that's the reason why I named the channel The Black Trumpeters, because of representation.
Yeah.
And so even before I created the channel, I knew the importance of representation. Even before going to college for music education, I was playing, you know, because at the top band in our high school, we would tour the local middle schools and junior high schools to, you know, help recruit those folks into their band program so they can go to the high school band program.
Yep.
In our area. And so I'll never forget it. It's like there was a freshman that came up to me my senior year. He was like, yeah, I played trumpet because I seen you play trumpet in the band. And he was a young black kid.
Yeah.
I was like, if I can do that for one person, and all I was doing was playing my instrument, the whole goal wasn't to inspire anybody, but just the fact someone saw me doing the thing, I was like, okay, I need to put that times 100.
Yep.
And so if that does that for that one person, imagine what that would do if I'm on the internet and playing my horn or teaching how to play the horn.
Yep.
And so that was the main driver, was to have that representation and have a voice for folks that look like me. And because, you know, so much of the trumpet pedagogy is not really geared towards black people, because our anatomy is different. And so I've heard so many stories through DMs, through comment sections of my own community saying, like, yeah, I quit band because my band director wanted to put me on trombone because that was a better mouthpiece for me that could fit my lips, or I quit playing because it was too hard and nobody could help me, and and so that's what keeps me going, is like just being able to put my perspective on trumpet playing.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people don't have that perspective,
right?
To follow, So yeah, representation is really important.
Yeah, man, that's beautiful. That's great to hear. Well, hey, man, I really appreciate you doing this. It's been awesome to learn from you and hear everything you're doing. We're gonna link all your stuff. Clarion Cast on TikTok. We'll link you on Instagram. We'll link you on YouTube. So anybody that's listening can check out Aaron Washington's amazing content on the internets. Thanks for taking the time to talk to me, man.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for having me.
All right. Appreciate it.